Hello everyone, Grandmaster Nikita.MESHKOVS is with you, and in today's episode I would like to show you one of the first games I played this year in 2024, and also one of the shortest games with quite a story behind that. But before we jump to the game, just a real quick information about Chessify platform. I started to use it recently, mainly for analyzing openings, preparing for the games, and analyzing games as well. For instance, they have a cool feature like Lichess database or correspondence chess player database, and also some other cool features. And as you already have noticed, on the left side of the screen there is a promo code MESHKOVS20. You can use it for the first purchase to get 20% discount, and yeah, feel free to check it. I'll keep you guys updated, and the referral link is in the description. So now we can jump to the game, and yeah, first of all I have to say that was in the Finnish League, and usually when you're playing in a league match, you know your opponent in advance. But in Finland, it's not the case. They have their own system, and pretty much you know the opponent as soon as the game is about to start. So you come to the playing hall, and you see that this guy appears in the playing venue out of the blue. You have to face this guy. So this is how usually it works, and it means that there is no preparation. So I came to the playing venue, and I see that I'm facing Mikko Karttunen, very strong international master from Finland. His rating is about 2500, and we just start playing. I start with d4, he plays d5, knight f3, knight f6, c4, and he captures on c4. I was like, okay, so, well, probably I have to play e3 to regain the pawn. He plays e6, I take the pawn, he undermines the center. So it's so-called Queen's Gambit accepted, and I was in the mood to play a calm game, so I was like, okay, I don't mind, just made the short castle. He plays a6, I capture on c5, and here is probably the first semi-critical moment, because black can capture on d1 or can capture on c5. In both cases, we have a very similar queenless middle game type of position, where positional skills are the most important ones. So he takes on c5, I take on d8, and then play knight e5. So before I play knight e5, I'll make a first stop here and tell you a little bit more about this ending. The story starts exactly 1 year ago, in early November 2023. So there was a huge major tournament, Grand Swiss, where all the top players from all around the globe played. And in the last round, there was a game between Vidit Gujarati and Alexander Predke. And Vidit won it in a very nice and technical way. So he won the game and also won the tournament. And in a post-game interview, he says about his game. So they had exactly the same position, but Vidit played bishop e2. And then he played knight d2, knight b3, finished his development with bishop d2, bishop c3, and then bring his rooks to the center. So in the long and complicated game, he managed to win. And in the post-game interview, he says that, okay, knight e5 also is a very decent option and quite an interesting one. So how I knew about this interview. I was doing some stuff at home, and my girlfriend actually was watching, I think, on YouTube, live coverage of the tournament, and pretty much with one ear I heard that he's saying something about the position, and I was barely watching on the screen. But I thought, oh, okay, this is something. Maybe one day, you never know, maybe it could be useful. And here comes the day. So in 2 months, I came to play to Finnish League, and I have this position without preparation. And I was like, okay, we did something sad about this position. So there was this knight e5 idea, and the point is that so we are attacking the pawn, of course. But after king e7, the main point of this idea is that we are shuffling our pieces. And the follow-up is bishop e2. So with this move, we want to relocate the bishop to the long diagonal and also free up the c4 square for the knight. So this is not a novelty. Quite a few games were played here, including Grandmaster level games. So usually black plays bishop d7. This is probably the most accurate one, but then after bishop f3, black has to trade all the minor pieces, and it leads to slight strategical problems on the queen side. Nevertheless, they have b and d files, and also they have some lead in development, so it depends, probably matter of style. If you're ready to play with slightly weakened pawns, then it's not a big deal, but you're having some initiative. So the game is would be very balanced, and I was very comfortable to play like this, but instead of bishop d7, my opponent plays knight d7, and I play knight c4. So this move probably came as a surprise to my opponent, because he spent quite a time here, and after a long thought, he plays rook d8. I was like, okay, I knew the idea. So in this type of positions, it's very, very essential to keep your knight on b1, because if you put it on c3, it's very, very limited, and all the squares are pretty much taken away, so you can't make any further progression with it. However, if you have your knight in the starting position, you can advance it to d2, and from d2 it has two routes. Either it goes to f3 or b3. b3 is way more preferable because it hits the bishop, and if you manage to grab the bishop to trade it, then all the dark squares going to be vulnerable, and this is pretty much the way how to fight for the advantage. And yet again, my opponent played a very understandable move, understandable decision, although he spent a lot of time here at this point. And it actually makes sense, because the main move, which sort of keeps the game very leveled, is a very counterintuitive king f8 prophylaxis, with the idea that after knight b3 you can retreat with the bishop to e7, but this is probably one of the toughest things in chess, you know, to make these calm moves back. It requires such an understanding and quite an impressive skills. Usually this is in our nature to, you know, look for something very active. So that's what Mika did here. So he plays b5, but after b5 my knight lands on a5 very comfortably, creating a threat. Knight c6, that's a fork, and apparently the only way how to control the c6 square is to retreat back with a knight. Looks pretty bad, and this is the key element of this line, of this knight e5, bishop e2 regrouping, because black's position is very safe and stable, and you can't punish your opponent because he has no weaknesses. So the only way how you can sort of put pressure is try to prevent his development, and this is the way. So I'm following my plan and play knight d to b3, hitting the bishop, and this is one of the ways how I really enjoy playing chess. Usually I'm trying to put a bit of a pressure, and then I'm looking for I'm trying to give my opponent a choice. So if you want to try your skills, you can choose one of the two squares, which seems to you more natural one. One is a good one, which was not played in the game, and the other one, unfortunately for my opponent, was played and led to serious problems. So Mika played bishop b4, and unfortunately it's a very bad move, and bishop b6 would be a good one. Although it's still not so easy, because after a move, let's say a4, to undermine the pawns on the queen side, yet again, the most accurate one would be to retreat with a king. These moves are such a disaster for a chess player, because you need to be so focused to understand which threats are real and which are fake. So and the point is that after capturing bishop b5, black has rook d5, and they're fine. But of course, in our nature to make an active move like bishop b4, for instance, and with this move black is also keeping an eye on the knight and controlling the d2 square, preventing white from finishing development. Isn't it super logical? Well, sometimes the most logical moves are not the best ones, and the point is that now I play bishop f3, hitting the rook on a8, and after rook a7 I play e4, and this is probably the move my opponent missed, because now I have bunch of threats: bishop e3, bishop f4, maybe even bishop g5 with the idea to play e5. But this or that way, there are a lot of targets all around the board, and it's quite a task for black to deal with these active ideas. So here came probably the last mistake from my opponent. He could have played knight fd7, and after bishop e3, rook c7. Position is still very unpleasant for black, but at the very least you can still play it a bit longer. Instead, he played e5, and this led to strategic disaster, because now I'm finishing development with the tempo, hitting the one rook, second rook, and pretty much he has to... Okay, he's not losing any material, but his pieces coordination is just horrible, and also he just played rook h to d8, now he has to go back. Yeah, a clear indicator that something went wrong in black's strategy, and so here comes another moment. My position is very good. I'm about to win the game, but still you have to be precise. You have to pay attention to your opponent's weaknesses. And rook ac1 was one of the most accurate moves in this position, because the point is that we are creating a threat of playing knight c5 and mainly bishop c7. Because after bishop c7, surprisingly, but you can't defend the knight on b8, and black is losing some material. So at this point, black's position almost lost, because nothing really helps. So for instance, you can play bishop b7, but then I can play bishop c5, forcing a trade, and then winning material with a fork. Alternatively, you can play, for instance, bishop d6 to cover the c7 square, but then I play knight c5, and after capturing, I invade with a rook. The same bishop c7 threat is in the air, and also e5 pawn is under attack. That's the end. And bishop a5 is not working either, because after bishop a5, all the threats are there. So my opponent played king e6, and yeah, after this move, I'm winning material because bishop c7 leads to a huge problem, and my opponent had to give up an exchange, and this is move 21. So at this point, it's just a technical job, and yeah, usually Grandmaster wins such positions without almost any immersion in the position. Basically, you just need to prevent your activity, force some trades, and that's it. So here we go. I just improve all my pieces, prepare some active ideas like relocating knight to c5. Make sure that, okay, one intermediate move, and then make sure that I'm not blundering a piece in one. Yeah, sometimes it happens, but of course not in a classical game, at least on a Grandmaster level. And yeah, okay, just made a couple of moves. You don't have to look for a direct punishment and try to win in one move. You just, improve your position. And after king e8, I played knight b7, and that's the over, because black can save his rook once again. So this is the game, and thank you very much for your attention, and see you guys again.